Hey guys, it is Yozora, and today we'll be talking about the pan-European Superdestroyer, the Dalarna. I hope I'm not butchering the name, but there is no funny accent like on Smolensk, so it should be fine. Anyway, just like the Clausewitz, the ship will be available at first in auction, so starting from the 29th of September until the 3rd of October. And just like the Clausewitz, again, it will be 500 ships available throughout all four servers, so Europe, CIS, NA, and Asia. And the starting bid will be at 100 million credits. So, logical question, is it worth it to burn? I'd say the starting bid would be at, the true starting bid at least would be at 200 million credits, maybe even more. Is it worth burning so much resources for a single ship? Well, the question is simple. Do you like Haaland? If yes, well, go for it, honestly, because Dalarna, I think it's the only super ship for now where it's a proper vanilla progression from the previous ship. You don't have an alternative firing mod, you don't have, like on the Edgar, a big change of gameplay with her getting normal AP fuse timer instead of the standard British light cruiser short AP fuse. Or for example, what else? The United States, with her being ultra squishy compared to Midway. You get the idea. No, Dalarna, she's just a land, a bit bigger, but every characteristic goes up. She has much better firepower. It's not... Well, if you're expecting small on DPS, it's not to that point. It's somewhere just in between in terms of DPM. But at least the alpha damage itself per salvo, well, you have 6 guns instead of 4, so it definitely goes up. That's just undeniable. Also, she happens to have absolutely amazing firing angles. Like it's, I think, 20 degrees both forward and towards the rear, which is just perfect when you're fighting against our destroyer. You need to try dodging between salvos. You will have very little issue keeping all guns on target. In terms of the torpedoes, well, the basic torpedoes, because just like the Yamagiri, she gets 2 types of torpedoes. Basic torpedoes is the same as Alan, so 15 kilometers, very fast but low damage. However, you already get nice little boosts because they're really 90 seconds instead of 100 seconds. So, well, the armament itself still stays the same. God, I hate using that term. The torpedo DPM, it's not a real thing, but you get the idea. It goes up. You'll be able to dump a lot more torpedoes per game than Haaland. Now, most of the time, personally I was sticking to the standard torpedoes. Because the high speed of them, you have a much easier time catching the target. But if you're at close range and you're basically sure that the torpedoes will make their way towards the target, you can switch to the others, because they only have 8 kilometers of range and 70 knots, but they deal a lot more damage. I think it's up to 18k damage compared to the standard torpedoes. So at least you'll have a far easier time to make sure that whoever will be the target will die. It is especially nice because before that you couldn't really do torpedo rushes against a battleship with a lot of HP. Stuff like Kremlin would most likely survive the rush. Whereas here, if you ever need to do that, you switch to the other type of torpedoes, and you'll, in that case, 100% sure the battleship will die. So, other than that, what are we looking at? Well, as I keep saying, it really is just island, but you get almost everything better except the size. And here also going up. Island was already pretty scary to deal with carriers, unless you had like you were playing a midway with the TIE bombers, or you had something like a Conquer or Thunder yoking the guy with HE, and at this point, a good half of the mid-range area was gone. Because yeah, that's always the downside of the island. You sure have a very high DPS, but not that many mounts. So if you're unlucky with damage received, you are already presenting a less of a threat. However, one thing the Dalarna does, no matter what waver on the island, it is being a skill check with the flag barrage. Because Dalarna, she pops 9 flag per salvo compared to 6 with the island. And if I remember correctly, even the flag themselves deal more damage, so if you're facing the average Joe who can't dodge flag for crap, well, the guy will just have his eyes to cry. Because the planes will just melt away, like... Just like with the island, but better, because also you have 50% more DPS in the long range. Plus also... fairly reasonable increase in DPS on the mid-range as well. So... if a carrier tries to go for you... well, the guy is a bit suicidal. Other than that, it's 1 notch faster, but at the same time it has worse turning radius because of the bigger size. She has, of course, not even that much more HP. It's a bit more than 1k HP compared to Island. But yeah, as I said, she isn't even that much bigger. Like, she's smaller than Ragnar, for example. So yeah, tonnage wise it doesn't go that high compared to Alan, so that's why you don't have such a particularly impressive increase in HP. But yeah, then again, it's still an appreciable boost of survivability. Of course, she still gets the Reaper party just like the Alan, so even if you get chunked pretty hard, you will always have a way to recover HP. So as you can see with the mod I have installed, you can recover up to 4k HP per heal. So yeah, with 4 charges in total, it will definitely help make the difference. Especially since, as I said at the start, Dalarna's firepower is quite a bit better than the island. Now, it sadly isn't as great as it used to be, because at the very beginning of the testing, it was basically the same as on the Indianapolis. So she had an additional turret and she was keeping the same 2 seconds reload. And her TPM was just so insane. Anything in her range would just melt away. It was amazing. Now, as I said, it's a tiny bit worse than the small one, but it's still honestly a more than respectable firepower. Unless it's stuff like Kleber or... I'm going to say Aruguma, but... if the Aruguma isn't particularly good, you can engage him quite safely, I would say, if you keep the distance. But yeah, she definitely has now the firepower to be able to engage our destroyers in peace. She isn't like the Alan, more stuck towards torpedo, doing more torpedo bot gameplay. She's actually quite versatile. She's basically at this point an hybrid. You can build her like a torpedo bot, you can build her like a tow bot. you can make an in-between. Personally, for that review, I went with a torpedo build because, you know, people are coming from the Highlands, which logically play like a torpedo boat. So yeah, you might as well just stay in line with what was used before. But frankly, Dalarna is a ship that makes me happy. I hope that she's now the new standard for super ship. Like if Wargaming will finally drop the absolute cluster F. I will avoid swearing too much in that video. They will finally drop the alternative firing mode, which was, in my opinion, a nightmare to make proper balancing. And we will be back to healthy vanilla ships. If they want to keep alternative firing mode for whichever full line of ships, whatever, like for example, if they want to use it for let's say Spanish cruisers, like with the Canarias, sure, why not? But I would just prefer they now stick to standard stuff with super ships. Because as you saw, Clausewitz, she's more than fine as an upgrade over Hindenburg, and she doesn't need any sort of stupid gimmicks to remain stronger. But again, now she's a lot weaker than Annapolis and Condé. As for Dalarna, honestly I would say she's more than fine compared to Yamagiri. Of course, she doesn't have the alternative firing mode, but her firepower, her basic firepower is more than fine compared to her Japanese counterpart. So if you happen to fight one of them, you should be fine. You shouldn't have too much issue dealing with them. Of course, if we are talking facing what is it called? Not a Soviet super destroyer? Whatever, you know what I mean. Of course, that one you will not try to face it in a gunboat combat, because you're most likely going to lose. But yeah, other than that, in my opinion, as a super destroyer, Dalarna is working mighty fine. And if you like playing Haaland or torpedo boats in general, but still like to have a good firepower, don't hesitate, honestly. In any case, that's all for me, guys.